This video is designed to be interactive. That means that you will watch and at different points pause the video in order to practice new skills. After each pause, we'll continue with new content. The time points of these pauses are listed for you in the video description in case you have to start the video over at any point in time. All practice activities will be done within a worksheet that you'll need to download from the online course. We also recommend pausing this video if you need any more time to engage with text content shown. This instructional video focuses on the following 3 goals. Take a moment to read those over. To reach our learning goals, we'll unpack these topics and questions. First, we'll talk about what are relationship practices and why are they important. This will be some foundational conversation around social capital theory and how that relates to young people developing the relationships they need to thrive and access different opportunities in their community. With this foundation, we'll move on to part 2, where we talk about specific sub-indicators related to relationship building and transition. We'll talk about what works, evidence-based practices, and then we'll align what we've learned today with national and state standards. All right, let's begin part 1. What are relationship practices and why are they important? Social interactions that lead to relationships provide young people with ongoing opportunities to test out their social skills in real-world contexts, and we know that having these low-risk opportunities can be a major advantage when young people begin to navigate their professional lives. These experiences also support their development of theory of mind and their self-esteem. So, of course, relationships are a necessary part of transitioning to adult life. But have you stopped to think about just how critical it is for youth with disabilities and their families to develop a group of local and community contacts who can then provide them with resources, information, guidance, and support toward reaching their goals? Well, these connections and the opportunities or benefits that result from them are often considered an individual's social capital. Social capital is investing your time and support in others so that they have the time and capacity to support you. In fact, social capital is the social currency for change, and when youth and families have the skills, opportunities, and time to engage in meaningful relationships with others, they invest part of themselves in order to receive the same positive investment from others in their social network, and that helps them and their entire group reach their goals. This reciprocity builds trust, and trust both strengthens these network connections and creates new connections. Gaining membership to networks that increase social capital is positively influenced by a person's ability to connect with others and to develop mutual bonds centered on care and respect. It's no secret that socializing and networking are skills that develop over time through experience. So youth with disabilities benefit profoundly from opportunities to test and perfect these skills for engaging in social networks. And this can help them in succeeding in school, living independently, and striving to achieve their goals in the workplace. We can think of social capital as comprised of 3 types of relationships. The first are called bonds, and bonds are the close social circle of youth with disabilities and their families, and this is comprised of those individuals in the school, community, at home, who they have a deep and long-lasting relationship with, and that relationship is built on and builds on shared trust, shared goals, and mutual respect. Next, we have bridges to friends, colleagues, associates, and community members that youth and families know. These are acquaintances that have connections that lead to new experiences for learning and growing at school, at work, and within the community. Finally, we have linkages that consist of relationships where youth and families exchange social capital with individuals in positions of access and power in order to expand and improve their opportunities for employment, education, and access to a broad range of community experiences that support their goals for adult life. In order to develop social capital, youth need some fundamental skills. What they need is to see, learn, and practice positive soft skills, including social communication skills, verbal and nonverbal, and respectfully interacting with others according to the rules of social interaction for that context and across different contexts and situations, settings, cultures, and groups. Young people need to be supported through opportunities that help them to develop productive working relationships where they understand and begin building trust, control of their own behaviors, and the ability to positively respond to behaviors of others, and also to acknowledge the feelings and perspectives and perceptions of others, which helps them to develop what we call theory of mind. Young people also need to understand and apply social skill strategies for keeping themselves safe and happy, including conflict resolution and avoiding negative or potentially abusive relationships. We also need to support opportunities for youth to begin goal setting for themselves, and in particular, interacting with others in their social network to help them achieve those goals. So this could be their friends, family, this could be educators in the school, it could be support providers or coworkers. And in order to develop social capital, youth and families are going to need time, space, and support for connecting with others that share their experiences in the community. So this means a focus on peer-to-peer relationships. They're also going to need time to demonstrate trust and to build trust with others. And in order to do that, they'll need means to communicate that are equitable for them. And they'll also need opportunities for authentic participation and interaction, not just presence in one space together. All right, so that brings us to our first pause and practice activity of this video. What you're going to want to do is first open up the relationships video worksheet, and then you're going to work on the first question. So this question is, share 2 to 3 practices, programs, supports, approaches that stakeholders might use to support young people with disabilities in their work to build their own social capital to enhance their lives. So what might stakeholders do to support young people in being able to build and access their social capital? And then what connections might arise from it? What might some of those outcomes be? So at this point, you can pause the video, take some time, reflect, and write your answers. And when you're done, you can resume the video, and then we'll continue on with our new content. Right, it's time to put it all together and look at the practices that support relationship building. We'll focus in on evidence-based practices related to these 4 key areas. Our first area is friendship, and ideally this includes young people connecting with other peers who share their interests, goals, and experiences, as well as peers who have completely different life experiences than they do. The idea here is that they have opportunities in the community to engage and practice their social skills through fun activities that are authentic and built around shared interests. Learning is fundamentally social, and ongoing interactions with others are how youth become exposed to new information, and it's through these interactions that they learn about their world and the lives of others. This leads to a greater awareness of how their goals, dreams, strengths, and challenges are also experienced by others. This sense of commonality is the foundation for meaningful relationships that then increase their sense of belonging. Social skills development includes youth understanding others' needs and feelings, being able to articulate their own ideas and needs, being able to solve problems, cooperate, and negotiate with others. Also being able to express their emotions and reading social situations accurately by adjusting their behavior to meet the demands of those situations. These situations can include school, home, work, online, and in the community. Acquiring social knowledge and mastering social skills requires that youth know when to use them, how to use them, and how to choose among a toolkit of different social skills depending on the needs of the situation. Bullying is a complex social issue. It's often dynamic and complex, involving young people across varying roles and peer groups. But we also know that there are things we can do to reduce and prevent bullying. These approaches include teaching bystander strategies so young people who are not directly involved in bullying become advocates and champions for students who are. Effective anti-bullying approaches also include positive family relationships, where families reinforce these effective responses and these anti-bullying strategies that students learn in school at home. This can include proactive discussions at home about bullying, and families reinforcing what effective responses are to those situations. All right, it's time for your second pause and practice. We'd like you to take out your video worksheet and begin working on these 3 questions. Once you've written down your reflections and responses, restart the video and we'll continue on with new content. Social skills development is the foundation for youth growing their social capital. Social skills are both taught and learned through experience. Development in each of these 3 areas has a positive influence on the other 2 areas, and this mutual influence positively impacts a young person's overall social skills development. So these 3 areas are sense of belonging, friendship, and anti-bullying efforts. The combination of the influence of these 3 components on each other supports youth in growing their social capital. And in order to grow in those 3 areas, youth needs strong social skills. We can view supporting relationships and the skills to build them as a continuum of evidence-based practices and activities that are done depending on the goals, strengths, needs, and environments of young people. The first step is working with young people to help them to understand their current social skills. This includes providing them with opportunities to share about their social experiences, their social strengths, and their needs. We then supplement this with results from valid assessments and include that information into our ongoing conversations with young people. Our assessment should involve a combination of observation that is both naturalistic and structured. It should include interview data from parents, educators, stakeholders, and the young person. And lastly, we should include data from standardized measures such as behavior checklists and social skills measures. Next, we begin to work with students to set goals based upon their current skills. This involves talking with them to figure out what their skill acquisition needs are and their areas for growth and performance of skills. Performance skills are behaviors that are present but are not performed successfully across different contexts. After this step, we start to provide direct instruction for either skill acquisition or performance needs. The approach selected should match the type of need present. Why? Well, if young people haven't learned and mastered a skill, which would be a skill acquisition need, all the reinforcement in the world, including unlimited soda and followers on Instagram, will not help them to use that particular social skill across real-life contexts. Once youth have the communication, interpersonal, conversational, negotiation, conflict, or other group skills, the name of the game is to support them in trying these skills out across a broad range of real-life situations and contexts. When we do this, we provide them with positive reinforcement, mentorship, and guidance along the way. Experiences are important because they strengthen skills and foster authentic social interactions that in turn foster the development of friendships. When selecting intervention strategies, it's important to consider the notion of accommodation versus assimilation. So accommodation, as it relates to social skills instruction, refers to the act of modifying the social environment to promote positive social interactions. An example of this could be youth learning how to be peer mentors that interact positively throughout the school day. While accommodation addresses changes to the social environment, assimilation focuses on individual skill building to help you thrive in these different social environments. So assimilation refers to instruction that facilitates specific skill development that empowers young people to be more successful in social interactions. Peer interaction activities can also be designed to help youth learn about each other's goals, wants, strengths, emotions, and needs, which supports their development of theory of mind. Whichever approach is used, the focus is on teaching students to self-evaluate their use of social skills. Additional direct instruction might take the form of social stories. Side note, it's really important that we support students who use augmentative communication or other assistive technology in using that technology to have positive social interactions with their peers. We should also provide parents and transition stakeholders with information and training so that they can support age-appropriate social skill development for young people. When we do this, we should take into consideration a family and community's cultural standards. All right, so it's time for our final pause and practice. Be sure to take out your video worksheet and answer the last prompt. Once you've reflected and responded, please submit that worksheet as proof of your completion of this course. Just a reminder that all of these sub-indicators we've talked about today relate back to the PA Career Readiness Standards. We can take action by aligning these sub-indicators and their related evidence-based practices with efforts to collect I statements and to create portfolio artifacts with our young people.